Hello, I'm David Gibbons here in Zhuhai, China. Thanks for joining me. The European market for printing consumables continues to be one of the most competitive markets in the world. The printer OEMs are battling each other as well as with the aftermarket to keep their numbers up. At the same time, the European Union is setting very high environmental standards over single-use plastics and recycling. So printer cartridge remanufacturers have claimed the high ground with a reused, non-infringing quality product at a better price than the OEM original. Then along came the new build compatible cartridges called NBCs, and a war erupted within the aftermarket. Enter industry icon Steve Whedon. Whedon has held senior management positions at various OEMs, as well as Caton, Static Control and Cartridge World. He's currently CEO of PrintRite Europe, PrintRite Pelican Company in Germany, and PrintRite Pelican in France. He claims to have a new cartridge solution that is set to sizzle. He says the Pelican bio-based toner cartridge ticks all the boxes. The environment, it's patent-free, and is OEM standard for quality and yield. It also happens to be an NBC. Steve Whedon joins me now from the UK. Greetings there, Steve.
Yeah, hi David, good to be with you.
Thanks for joining me here. Now, we've all heard about biotoners before. I mean, they've been around for a while, I guess. But what is a bio-based cartridge? Now, is that different to a biotoner? I mean, what's the difference here?
Well, about 10 years ago, Art Diamond and some others started pushing the idea of trying to generate a biotoner. In other words, a toner that wasn't 100% carbon. And there were some trials made and some progress made, but it never really took off. It seemed that the technology got stuck at about 24% non-carbon content, in other words, a bio content. But it really wasn't enough to make any really big difference. What we have is a bio-based cartridge is not only a toner that has, in our case, 48% non-carbon content, in other words, 48% of a organic-based content, but we also have moved ahead to use a bio-based plastic as well. So the whole point of a bio-based cartridge is to reduce the CO2 level. And I have one I've been using in my talks and illustrations here. As you can see, it has a bright green top just to differentiate it from other types of cartridges. But this cartridge then has a 57% content of a bio-based plastic. That means it's saving 57% of petrochemical derivatives being used to make the plastic. And it also has a 48% bio-based content for the toner. So today, this is a bio-based cartridge, not just a bio-based toner, but also a bio-based plastic.
Well, that's an important difference to recognise, and I guess that's one of the reasons why you're so excited. Now, PrintRite has been diligently working on this project, as you say, for 10 years. So what does that say about this company's dedication to innovation and perseverance?
You know, when this industry started, there was lots of innovators. They've all disappeared. I mean, Ed Swartz, for example, fantastic innovator. And Arnold Ho takes his place up there as one of the industry's top innovators. And Arnold has never stopped trying to innovate, trying to make something better. So yes, 10 years ago, we were one of those companies that tried to make a bio-based toner. And as I said, we got to 24%, and it really wasn't enough. But that didn't mean that the investment in research and development stopped. It continued. And it continued well beyond the toner. As I've said, we've got to 48% now, but also on how we can reduce the CO2 footprint of a product like this, because there is a huge market demand for an eco-friendly product. And if we go back in time, of course, that's how the industry started. We positioned ourselves as remanufacturers, taking used OEM cartridges, remanufacturing from reuse, and that was good for the environment. In fact, back then, our business model was to remanufacture for multiple times, again and again and again. And in fact, Ed Swartz, for example, started innovating with long life component parts for that purpose. Over the years, that long life product has disappeared, vendors have disappeared, and the industry started to look at virgin remanufacturing and didn't want to understand how to remanufacture non-virgin cartridges because it is more expensive to remanufacture non-virgins. And so the remanufacturing industry has focused on the virgin cartridge remanufacturing business model. What we've done is now taken that to a point where we can make a MBC, as you call it, non-infringing MBC, which is much more difficult. We have 3,000 patents that support our technologies so that we can make a non-infringing new built cartridge. Now we also make it with a bio-based plastic of 57% organic materials and a bio-based toner of 48% organic materials. And now we have a bio-based plastic that reduces the CO2 levels by more than 20%. And so it will be a TUV certified bio-based product. Now what that means is this is the best solution of an eco-friendly cartridge that anyone could have. Being bio-based means we've reduced the dependence on fossil fuel and derivatives to make the product. The plastic is 57% organics. The toner is 48% organics. That reduces the overall CO2 level footprint of this cartridge enormously. Now, we want to have these cartridges returned after every use because we can remanufacture them. Actually, anyone can remanufacture them, even with standard replacement parts like drums and toner. We would prefer to get them back, remanufacture them for multiple cycle reuse. Now, if they do end up in landfill, which is where many cartridges still end up, this will start to degrade, decompose within about 180 days, given the circumstances of 60 degrees and about 90 degrees humidity, which is typical landfill condition. But we don't want them in landfill. We want these to be reused, okay? So we're going to collect them, we're going to remanufacture them, we're going to reuse them. On the other hand, if waste collection companies get hold of these, they will be able to see by the notations on the plastic that we can reclaim the bioplastic at a very low temperature, actually, for reuse, not only for a new molded cartridge, but also a new mold, anything that you wish to be able to make. Ideally suited for a low temperature use, such as a cartridge, for example. So the material collectors can recover all the metal parts like they can today. They can now recover the plastic parts and turn it back into a usable bio plastic that they can reuse to mold other things. So this really ticks all the boxes. And I have to tell you that I've been giving this story for the last several months to large companies, very large companies, and they're really excited about bringing something new and innovative to the market and waiting for us to get our first suppliers so that we can start launching the product.
Well, that was going to be my next question. You know, we hear about all the circular economy and in Europe and everyone's environmentally friendly and everything, but at the end of the day, they want to buy, the cartridge is basically sold on price and the environment seems to become second. So is this really going to be the game changer? You've been talking to people about it. Are they genuinely excited about it? Do you think this is where price meets the environment and it all comes together?
Price is still key. But in our case, and I'm just going to show you our box.
Let's have a look at the box. Yep.
Yeah. Now, as you can see, we're going to launch these products under our Pelican brand. And the Pelican brand is 182 years old this year. It is instantly recognizable by end users as a brand that stands for reliability, dependability, and trustworthiness. And here what we've got is a brand that is an alternative OEM. So whilst it's a new build cartridge that doesn't infringe, whilst it's a bio-based product that has these additional benefits for eco-friendly customers, it is also priced below the OEM by about 25%. And so it's an option, an alternative option for end users looking for a alternative OEM, but not as expensive as the OEM. And that's what's got some of the very large companies really excited, because it's being positioned completely differently to any aftermarket cartridge that's currently on the market.
Okay, well, you've got me excited now about it as well, because as you say, it just ticks all the boxes, including remanufacturing, which is something I didn't include in the intro. It can be remanufactured many times, preferably by yourself, but not necessarily. Others can get on board as well. So when will the product be launched? When can people get hold of this print-like
You've got to understand, you know, I'm dealing with a brand that's 182 years old. I cannot mess that up. But yes, you know, it's a question of doing it all right. And of course, we've had COVID-19 and all that more recently that's held us back a bit. The marketing is done. The websites are done. As you see, the packaging is done. We've still got product on the water waiting to come in. We don't want to launch until we've done training and video and some launch packages for our partners to go out. We have a loyalty program, we have an incentive program, just like an OEM might have for resellers to get excited about the Pelican products. And so, yes, this is all part of a bigger program to position Pelican as the alternative OEM and get the value for the brand that we need, but also be innovative to provide the products that customers want. You know, we've been making new build compatibles for many years, and they have always been non-infringing, and they've always been remanufacturable. I think there is this notion that has been put out by typically remanufacturing groups that have said, hey, you can't remanufacture a compatible cartridge. For our cartridges, and I can only speak for ours, they've always been remanufacturable. And therefore, it wasn't even a decision. We just automatically did that with our bio-based product. Of course, it's going to be remanufacturable. So we're very excited. This is really good news. I see why you're
excited. But, you know, people watching now are excited. How can they contact you? Where can they write, email, whatever? How can they find out more information?
Well, of course, for Pelican, we have our UK operations in Nottingham. We have our operations in Hanover. We have remote salespeople everywhere. We are advertising in most of the trade journals. We've had lots of articles written about us in the last few months, partly because of the new programs that Pelican have been running out as an alternative OEM, as well as some articles on our bio-based product. I would say, David, that those that have plagiarized some of the articles have called this product a biodegradable product. It is not, right? It is not. It is not a biodegradable product. It is a bio-based product. There is a significant difference. Yeah.
Thanks, Steve, for joining me today.
All right, a pleasure.
Yeah, I've been talking with Steve Whedon. Thanks for joining me. This is In Touch TV News, and I'm David Gibbons.